Good Friday evening. Chris McDonald with you on a Friday night, the 13th day of June, 2025. Grateful to have everybody. Late night special. We're not going to be with you long. We're going to be taking your questions. We've got a few stories we want to go over, give you a little update. We were going to do a prayer event tonight. We just really didn't get it organized enough that I felt like it was going to be good to do this tonight. But we are going to have one tomorrow, probably around 10 o'clock Eastern. It's going to last for 1 hour. And we'll have it on the Faith Network, also on Facebook and YouTube. And we've got a couple of folks that's emailed us that tells us that they wanted to participate. And that's when we're going to do it tonight. We're going to be dealing with the news side of this. And the weekend, we're going to be dealing with faith. A lot of things going on in our country tomorrow. We've got, of course, Flag Day tomorrow, June the 14th, and President Trump's birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday to our president. And the 250th anniversary of the Army will be celebrated in D.C. tomorrow, weather permitting, with a parade. And then we've got this ungodly No King movement march that is being financed by the billionaire left-wing loon bomb heiress of Walmart. Makes me not want to go to Walmart ever again. About like I did with Target. I've not visited a Target store probably in 3 or 4 years at least. I know since the Biden time, I've never stepped foot in it. Don't plan to be frank with you. Nor a Kohl's store. It's dangerous time for our nation tonight. We've got our story. We're going to start with Israel tonight and give you an update on what we know from there. Talked to Ruth Guggenheim a little bit by text today. She says that, what did she tell me this morning? She said our conversation was too close for comfort, and it was definitely too close for comfort. We had her on the both the radio show and the show last night, and we were honored to have her last night. We interviewed her yesterday at noon. She's not going to be able to be with us after, I think, this 17th, which is toward the middle of this week. She's got something going on that's going to keep her down for about a month. And so we're going to look for other sources in Israel. We're going to try to get Gadon Ariel here next week. Eric Karen will be our guest. Eric was going to be with me tonight, but he wasn't feeling good. He just got back from an overseas trip. So Monday night will be Eric Karen, and we're excited about him. I know a lot of folks like Eric, and I do too. And he's going to be our guest Monday night. He'll be talking about a lot of this from that perspective, his perspective. And I wanted to just come on tonight and get the latest. I want to get right to this. We've got several stories. I do want to encourage you. We'll probably post this. This is off of Bill Federer's site, AmericanMinute.org. And this is the PDF file of the history of Flag Day. It was June 14, 1777, that the Second Continental Congress selected the flag of the United States. Our founders were in the midst of fighting an 8-year-long war to come from under the dominion of the most powerful globalist king of world history. And he goes on, as only Bill can, to talk about the Pledge of Allegiance, 1885. The first version of that was written by Union Army Captain George Thatcher Balch, a veteran of the Civil War. He became auditor of the New York City Board of Education, where he authored Methods of Teaching Patriotism in Public Schools, 1890. He's actually the one largely responsible for the flagpoles being placed in front of public schools. Balch's pledge, called A Salute to the Flag, was, I give my heart and my hand to my country, one language, one flag. Balch's pledge was revised in 1892. The 36-year-old Baptist minister Francis Bellamy, who was ordained in the Baptist Church of Little Falls, New York. And Bellamy was a member of the staff of the Youth's Companion, which published the Pledge of Allegiance on September the 8th, 1892 in Boston. The magazine recommended the pledge be part of school programs celebrating the first Columbus Day, together with prayers, patriotic speeches, the singing of My Country 'Tis of Thee, also known as America, written in 1831 by Samuel Francis Smith, and the reading of President Benjamin Harrison's proclamation of July 21st of 1892 that said, "Let the national flag float over every schoolhouse in the country, and the exercises be such as shall impress upon our youth the patriotic duties of American citizenship. Let there be expressions of gratitude to divine providence." Public school children first recited the pledge at the National School Celebration, dedicating Chicago's World Fair in October of 1892 on October the 12th. This was the 400th anniversary of Columbus' discovery of America. And then as we turned the century in 1916, President Woodrow Wilson designated June 14th as National Flag Day. That's where we get the June 14th from. He said, I call your attention to the approach of the anniversary of the day upon which the flag of the United States was adopted by the Congress as the emblem of the Union. And he said, I therefore request that throughout the nation the 14th day of June be observed as Flag Day with special patriotic exercises to give significant expressions to our thoughtful love of America, our comprehension of the great mission of liberty and justice for an American which no man can corrupt, no influence draw away from its ideals, no force divide against itself. Done at the city of Washington in the year of our Lord, 1916. Then in 1954, the Knights of Columbus led a campaign to add one nation under God to the pledge, and Congress passed that law, number 396. It was on Flag Day of June 14th of 54 that President Eisenhower signed it into law on Flag Day, June the 14th, and you can see the section there, which basically says the following is designated as the pledge. This says, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic. That word republic is key there, folks. It doesn't say to the democracy. It says to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Such a pledge should be rendered by standing with the right hand over the heart. However, civilians will always show full respect to the flag when the pledge is given by merely standing at attention. Men removing the headdress, persons in uniform shall render the military salute. Eisenhower stood on the steps of the Capitol building, recited the revised pledge, this day in history tomorrow, all the way back in 1954. The words under God were taken from Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address that took place in 1865. That was 100 years before I was born. That this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. And then in 1979, a publication approved by and printed under the authority of Congress titled The Capital A Pictorial History of the Capitol and of Congress stated that this pledge attests what has been true about America from the beginning. Faith in the transcendent sovereign God was in the public philosophy, the American consensus. America's story opened with the first words of the Bible, in the beginning, God. And we are truthfully one nation under God, and our institutions presuppose a divine being, wrote Justice William Douglas in 1966. Only a nation founded on theistic, which is meaning the triune God, presupposition would adopt a First Amendment to ensure the free exercise of all religions or of none. The government would be neutral among the many denominations, and no church would become the state church. But America and its institutions of government could not be neutral about God. And that's the key right there, folks. God's not upset about separation of church and state. God is upset about separation of God and state. That's what America has been called to be. We're not called to be separate from God. The not having a one group state church is biblical, actually. Speaking of the flag, President Calvin Coolidge wrote in May 31st of 1926, our condition today is not merely that of one people under our flag, but of a thoroughly united people who have seen bitterness and enmity which once threatened to sever them pass away, and a spirit of kindness and goodwill reign over them all. He stated that in May 25th of 1924. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1935, our flag for a century and a half has been the symbol of the principles of liberty, of conscience, of religious freedom, of equality before the law. And these concepts are deeply ingrained in our national character. During World War II, June the 14th of 1942, the belief in man created free in the image of God is the crucial difference between ourselves and the enemies we face today. We ask the German people, still dominated by their Nazi whipmasters, whether they would rather have the mechanized hell of Hitler's New Order as in place of that freedom of speech and religion. We ask the Japanese people, trampled by their savage lords of slaughter, whether they would rather continue slavery and blood or in place of them freedom of speech and religion. And he went on to add a lot of things. George Washington, General George Washington, June 14, 1783, sent a circular letter to the 13 governors of the newly independent states, and he said, I'm now preparing to resign. Before I carry this resolution into effect, I think it is a duty to make this my last official communication to congratulate you on the glorious events which heaven has been pleased to produce in our favor. The citizens of America are from this period to be considered as the actors of a most conspicuous theater, which seems to be particularly designed by Providence for the display of human greatness and felicity. Heaven has crowned all of its other blessings by giving a fairer opportunity for political happiness than any other nation has ever been favored with. Washington continued with a warning, and I'll end it on this. According to the system of policy the states shall adopt at this moment, they will stand or fall. And by their confirmation or lapse, it is yet to be decided whether the revolution must ultimately be considered as a blessing or a curse. Not to the present age alone, for with our fate will the destiny of unborn millions be involved. He was speaking ahead to our time tonight. Washington's concern for unborn millions was indicative of the founders who sacrificed prosperity for posterity. This contrasted with later politicians and those today who sacrifice posterity for prosperity, yoking future generations with unpayable debt and lawlessness. John Adams, April the 26th, 1777, he said, posterity, you will never know how much it cost the present generation. To preserve your freedom, I hope you will make a good use of it. If you do not, I shall repent in heaven that I ever took half the pains to preserve it. Washington concluded with an admonition to follow the example of the divine author of our blessed religion. I now make it my earnest prayer that God would have you in the state over you which you preside in his holy protection, that he would incline the hearts of the citizens to entertain a brotherly affection and love for one another, and particularly for their brethren who have served in the field, and finally, that he would most graciously be pleased to dispose us all to do justice, to love mercy, and to demean ourselves with the charity, humility, and specific temper of mind which were the characteristics of the divine author of our blessed religion, and without a humble imitation of whose example in these things we can never hope to be a happy nation. There's so much to unwrap in that, but I want to say this tonight, folks. This is what makes these protests, and it's what makes these riots in L.A. and watching our flag be burned and watching people wave flags of foreign countries and do the things they're doing under the same and under the banner of this flag that was paid for by blood. And it was paid for by patriots that understood the meaning behind it. And it is a despicable disgrace tonight that this nation has not kept freedom. I got a feeling if John Adams, the way he said if this doesn't, if the generations to come do not appreciate the freedom they've got, he said, I'm going to repent in heaven over trying to do so much to preserve it. Folks, these men, many of these people that went before us and paid for the stripes and those 13 stripes and those 13 stars that are on that flag, they did it with great cost to their life, to their livelihood, to their families, their fortunes. They saw something bigger than themselves. They didn't see this spoiled, entitled attitude that we've got in this generation tonight. This elitist, self-righteous, arrogant spirit in this nation, this American nation that God entrusted freedom to and entrusted the protection of Israel to, that he entrusted things to us that no other generation has been entrusted with. And we have basically peed on the flag. We may never light a match to it, but by our silence and by our lack and apathy not to stand up and protect it, not to say the things that need to be said, for us to sit around and watch these people do this stuff without saying anything, without doing anything to stop it, to allow this lawlessness to grip our country. We're just as bad as any of those burning the flag. Because let me tell you something, silence in the face of evil is evil itself. And it is a great disgrace to see this movement tomorrow that is going to be parading itself across this country. And I'm going to say this real quick. I got to get on Israel tonight, and then we're going to sort of take your questions at 11:30 in the East. And we will take a time of prayer, so please don't ask. We're going to do our prayer event tomorrow. I got some things in my heart tonight. I want to play a few videos, and I want to get out of here as quickly as I can. But Israel is under attack tonight. She's actually under great danger after attacking Iran's nuclear facility. Missiles have been fired down upon Jerusalem tonight. Tel Aviv, I sent Ruth a message to check on her. I've not heard from her since this morning. I'm sure they're in bomb shelters. Fox News host had to run for cover here earlier tonight because of the bombs hitting Jerusalem. And folks, the bottom line is we've got all-out war. But I will tell you this. I'm more concerned about our nation tomorrow. I believe that within this group of No Kings movement, whatever you want to call it, why don't I just call it like I see it? It's a no brain movement. How about that? No brain, no heart movement. And as I said, it makes me never want to walk into a Walmart store again, to be frank with you. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we should make the Walmart billionaire heiress a Walmart poverty seeker. Maybe to put her on food stamps. How about that? That'd be probably a good idea to me. Bankrupt her store. Send her a message that, her pushing this communist manifesto and this communist ICE-hating, American-hating agenda don't sit too well with us patriots. They don't sit too well with Christians. They don't sit too well with people that love this country. Our founding fathers tonight, George Washington and all these patriots that stood up and made it possible that we had a flag and honored the flag. We don't worship the flag, but we honor it. There's a difference. We don't worship America. We honor it. We don't worship our leaders, but we honor our leaders. That's a biblical principle, folks. Honor your father and mother, for so shall your days be long on the earth. Mothers and fathers represent authority. God tells us in His Word in Romans 13 that the powers that are over us are ordained by Him. We are to subject ourselves to the powers that are. You've got spiritual voices out there that take that and throw that in the trash and tell you to rebel and tell you to do this. And folks, unless that government is telling you to do something against conscience and against the Word of God, we are to submit ourselves to that government. By the way, Paul wrote that during the time of Nero, one of the most evil, wicked individuals probably in the history of the Roman Empire, that was burning Christians at the stake and basically using Christians to light his garden up. He would impale them on poles, put gasoline on them and set them afire, and their bodies, the flame of that body would light his garden at night that he would walk in. That's how evil he was. But Paul was telling the church, for conscience sake, you submit yourself to authority when it's godly. And we have gotten this rebellious spirit in America, and we don't understand authority. That's why we have kids that spit in the face of their parents. We got kids that spit in the face of police officers. We got adults that spit in the face of police officers. People that come to the country illegally and think they've got an elitist right to stay here. And see, they do this under the banner of that very flag because no other country would allow them to do that. And the sad thing about it tonight, folks, if you took this great American flag that people have paid for by blood, if you took this flag to another nation, any nation on this earth, you would likely be killed for it. You'd be likely jailed for it, to wave this flag in someone else's country. But we allow other countries to come and in our face insult the memory and denigrate the blood of these patriots and denigrate the memory of people that paid with their life and with their family's life, in many cases, for what this flag represented. And this is why Flag Day tomorrow is so important. This is why we honor the flag. We don't worship men. We don't worship political systems. We don't worship political organizations. We don't worship political leaders, but we honor them. The Bible says in Romans 13 to give honor to whom honor is due. And we honor the memory of those that put, again, their life on the line, that we would have a flag to even salute. It's amazing that flag is red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue. And it's not a different flag for one group as it is for another. We're all under the same flag, and I look at that red part of that flag as sort of a type of the blood of Jesus, because he bought our freedom, just like that flag purchased our political freedom. Jesus' blood bought our spiritual freedom. And let me tell you this tonight, folks. This flag is in danger of losing its freedom. It's in danger, what it stands for. We're in danger of losing this. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I was telling Kathy tonight, my dear wife, beautiful wife, and it's at times like this that family becomes more important. Family's always important to me, but when we're going through these times in this nation, we're going through these troublesome times, it gives me great pause sometimes to know that life is so short. And I think it would behoove us all tonight in this time of trouble in this world to hug our families a little tighter tonight and to hold them close to us and appreciate what God's given us and appreciate the fact that we have children and we have husbands and we have wives and we have spouses and we have mothers and daddies and sons and daughters and granddaughters and grandchildren and grandsons. And family is everything. And that's what America is really about. It's about a family. We're one big family. And that too is being torn to pieces by this demonic movement in this country, this lawless spirit that is ripping at the heart and the soul of America by people that don't respect what this flag stands for. This flag was never installed to have illegals overrun this country that are not citizens of this country. That flag does not represent those that don't belong in this nation. I know that flies in the face of this left-wing, again, elitist, I'm entitled to everything mentality. Let me tell you something. This flag don't represent you. It represents those that are citizens of this country and citizens alone. If you're not a citizen, that flag does not belong to you to burn. And to me, it is an act. President Trump said he believes people that do this, that are not here legally, should get a year in jail, and I'm not going to disagree with that. Because I tell you what, you get more than a year in jail, neighbor. You get a year with your head in a noose to do this somewhere else. But we allow it here because we've allowed lawlessness to run rampant in this country. But I feel troubled in my heart tonight. I don't feel fear. I was driving tonight, and there's terrible, terrible storms breaking out in the south tonight. And I, even at age 60, I sometimes get nervous when I'm driving. I'm driving in bad weather. I love the weather. I chase weather. I love to watch a good thunderstorm, and I love to see the elements. But it's just a childhood thing. It's always made me nervous at the same time. And I was driving down the road tonight, and I was thinking about what's going on in our country, what's going on in Israel, and what's going on in Iran tonight, and what's going on in the Middle East, and Saudi Arabia is taking sides, and she's taking sides with Israel, and other nations are taking sides with Iran, and we're seeing an alignment, and those kind of things are always recipe for world conflict. And the verse in Psalms 23, the great Lord's the greatest psalm written of the entirety of the Word of God, that 23rd Psalm, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in pastures, green pastures. For his name's sake, he leads me in the path of righteousness. He restoreth my soul, my cup runneth over. And that little part of that psalm that says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Neighbor, listen to me tonight. America's in a shadow of death. America's in a shadow of death. I know that that's not apropos to hear, But that other part of that psalm just kept ringing in my ear tonight. I will fear no evil. I will fear no evil. And we're not here to generate fear. What I am here to generate tonight is for us to be soberly minded and to be vigilant and to be aware that there's danger out there. This is not the time to eat, drink, and be merry. This is the time to be sober and vigilant and prayerful and thoughtful and remembering the price that's been paid for the freedoms we have, because they can be taken from us just like that. And I will tell you this, once they're gone, they're gone. You're not getting them back. You're not getting them back. Once that flag, what that flag represents is gone, there won't be another flag behind it. And the powers that be, the anarchists and the insurrectionists and the ones that want to usurp the government of the United States, they want to replace that flag with another flag, a flag of communism, a flag of fascism. They swear up and down Trump's Hitler, and they swear up and down ICE as Hitler. And these governors, Hochul and Waltz and Pritzker, need to be in jail tonight. They flat out need to be in a freaking prison for what they've allowed their states to become. Gavin Newsom needs to be behind bars tonight to allow illegals to overrun your state and murder and rape and maim people. That is a dereliction of duty. That is a slap in the face to the flag of the United States of America. That's a slap to that Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands. We don't even understand what we're saying when we place that pledge. Folks, that republic means the government is of the people and by the people and for the people. It's not that the people are for the government. It ain't the fact that we sit there and the government tells we the people how we're to support them. No, the government is supposed to listen to us, how they work for us. That's what this flag represents. That's what America represents. That's what's at stake. How does this tie into Israel tonight? Because there was two reasons why God created this country. I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on real quickly and take your questions. Listen to me. There was two main reasons why America was founded as a nation. You realize that? Number one, it was the gospel. God knew in creating this nation that the resources in this country would be unlike any other nation to take the message of freedom, the message of Christ. It wasn't just a political message, it's a spiritual message. That we would be able to finance the spread of the gospel to the entire world, unlike any other nation could do. No other nation could do that but America. No other nation can do it but America. Because, see, the missionary movement of old actually started in England, and those fires of revival came over here, and they caught hold here in the early 1900s, and we had the birthing of the Methodist Church. We had several denominations, and we had so many revivals that went on in these colonies, and we had this Second Great Awakening about 100 years after the colonies experienced the First Great Awakening, and there was a move of God in this country like we've never seen before. And it wasn't a fake revival like we're having tonight. It was a true move of God, a repentant nation that understood that the choicest bounties of heaven, as Abraham Lincoln once famously said in that Gettysburg Address, he said, "We have been blessed with the choicest bounties of heaven, but we have forgotten God." Abraham Lincoln recognized where our blessings came from. George Washington recognized that without God, we were not going to be a nation that would survive. John Quincy Adams says, without God, we're not going to be a happy nation. And folks, without God tonight, all of those things are true, and we're seeing them happening. But one of the reasons that we're unhappy and the reason we're divided and we're being torn into a million pieces is because we've lost our calling. And we have forgotten what we were called to do. We weren't called to form Q movements. We weren't called to be a conspiracy nation full of nuts and fruitcakes that push nothing but godless theology and godless entertaining ideas that are just absolutely insane. And I'm talking about the right and the left. God didn't call America to that. God's not called America to abortion. He's not called America to transgenderism. He's not called America to lesbianism. He's not called America to homosexuality. He's not called America to corruption. He's not called America to lawlessness. That was never his call on us, and it never will be. No, we were called to be a godly nation from the start. He put his hand of approval on America just like he put his hand of approval on Israel some 4,000 years back when he called a man by the name of Abraham, and then he called his grandson Jacob, whose surname was Israel, and his 12 sons went into Egypt. And they went into Egypt as a people, and then they came out of Egypt as a nation birthed by God after a 9-month struggle of freedom and slavery. They were in slavery to Pharaoh, just as America was in slavery to Britain. The parallels of these two nations are staggering. How we both got founded. We basically declared our independence. The shot heard around the world in Lexington, Massachusetts, April the 15th of 1775 was the official start of the Revolutionary War. That happened on a Passover Seder night. That happened on the night of Passover that year. Our ties to Israel, and this is the second reason why we were created, God knew that in this lifetime, in the span of America's lifetime, in the span of America's existence, there would be a tiny little nation that would be reformed after 1,900 years of being scattered all over this earth due to sin and rebellion. But God in his providence and God in his sovereignty and God in his great plan for man would reform this nation, and she would become the prophetic time clock that is clicking a clock tonight, folks, that's making a clock tick to the soon coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, the return of the Prince of Peace, the return of the wonderful Counselor, the return of God's Son, the return of the Son of Man, the return of the Rose of Sharon, the first and the last, the Alpha and the Omega. The same Jesus that those disciples looked up and saw taken up in Acts 1 and 8, or 1 and 5, he's coming back. He's coming back. And he's coming back soon for the church, and then he's coming back with the church to set up an earthly kingdom and to bring an end to this corruption and bring an end to this lawlessness and bring an end to the death and the disease and the poverty and the destruction and the corruption and the injustice and the inequity that mankind has done to this earth. It's going to stop. It's going to end, and he's the only one that can do it. But that little tiny nation has been in God's hands from the day she came out of Egypt, and she's never left his hands. And she is going to find her place in a state of unparalleled evil and unparalleled wickedness and destruction. And it will look like she will be extinct, but she's going to survive. No matter how bad it's going to look in the future and how bad it looks in the present tonight, Israel is going to survive every trial that's ahead, because when all is said and done, all of Israel shall be saved. That's the second reason we were created. And the way I look at it, folks, is this. If we are not going to preach the gospel, if we're not going to spread the true gospel, and we're not going to respect Israel and stand with Israel and stand by her tonight, we've lost our salt, we've lost our Savior. And Jesus said that when an individual loses their salt, and I would say that it goes to nations too, when a nation loses its reason for existence, Jesus said it's nothing good to be done to it but cast it in a dunghill. And if you don't know what a dunghill is, well, let me tell you something. When you're walking on a South Georgia day and you see a little pile of stuff that don't smell too good, that's a dunghill. And that's what we're facing tonight, folks, with this lawless spirit that has tried to destroy this country. And this war that is brewing in the Middle East tonight is going to have ramifications here in America. I urge you tomorrow to be alert. I didn't say fearful. I don't advocate people sitting around their homes and not getting out and doing things. I would be just very cautious where you go. Make sure your surroundings. You see something that don't look right, notify authorities, get out of there or whatever. I think that me and James pretty much talked about it last night. There's no telling how many operatives we've got in this country. There are growing numbers of ICE these protests against ICE. We're seeing more and more Antifa flags, Black Lives Matters, but we're seeing a lot of Palestinian flags, a lot of Hamas flags, a lot of Iranian flags, a lot of Mexican flags, and flags that carry with them nothing but a message of death and destruction for those underneath the banner of those flags. And the sad thing to me tonight is they're using our flag that gives them the freedom to do that mess as a cover for what they're doing to destroy this country and what this flag stands for. Now, that's my Friday night, late night, midnight special, in your face, McFiles 1776, way to end the week on. Didn't even need a monitor and a prompt to do it. Said that straight from the heart of the Mac man. And these opinions are mine. These opinions are mine. I want to say this tonight. It's a despicable disgrace. It's a despicable disgrace. It's a despicable disgrace to have leaders of Congress and leaders of states and leaders of federal government agencies to be anywhere near these protests tomorrow about this No King protest. It's a disgrace. And I'll leave it at that. All right. Now, real quick, I want to show you a couple of things tonight. Here's the map of this. There's 5 cities. Phoenix. That looks like Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, Charlotte, Philadelphia. Those 5 cities right there are going to be the main hubs tomorrow. But these little blue dots have got events planned in them, and these are small communities all over this country, coast to coast, and you can see the number of those blues, and I'm just clicking them on. And I've talked to Dory today, and even up in Long Island, where we were just at, there are going to be protests. There are protests all over Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. I mean, you could just pretty much draw a line from the Mississippi River south up here, where I'm clicking on right there, all the way down to the Gulf Coast. There's Brownsville, Texas. You got Louisiana. You got Missouri, Paducah, Kentucky. There's Missouri right there. Let me come back over here and say something about that tonight. You got a state of emergency in Missouri. The governor there has already declared a state of emergency in Kansas City, Columbia, Jefferson City, St. Louis. He's expecting rioting. We don't know it's all gonna be looking like tomorrow. But again, folks, I'm not saying this to you to be fearful. I'm saying this to you to be alert and be vigilant tomorrow. Be vigilant and keep tabs on your family and love your family and keep them close to you and hold them close to you and make sure you know where they're at tomorrow. The bigger danger, I think, is looming in Iran tonight. There is reports. I want to just come over to our newswire and give you an update. This is happening today. This was posted about 2 o'clock this afternoon. The U.S. forces are participating in defeating the Iranian attack on Israel, an Israeli official says. And this is some video. This was Israeli strikes last night. You can see that. We played this last night, but there they are again. And this is out of Breitbart. And then this is Secretary of State Rubio's statement. He says, tonight Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in these strikes against Iran. And our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. Israel advises that they believe these actions are necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target the U.S. Well, that's what she's doing tonight. This is Tel Aviv this afternoon. It would have been nighttime tonight. This is Iranian bombs raining down on Tel Aviv. You can see, let's see if we can get that to play. There we go. That is Tel Aviv, Israel right there. I'll play that again. Those were some of the Iranian responses to Tel Aviv. This is Trey Yinks from Fox News. He had to run for cover tonight. What we were talking about, this was 9:13 Israel time. Would have probably been around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Rolled the tape. This is, he was doing a story, had to flee for cover.
Okay, this is some short-range systems. Stay here, Yaniv. Pull out a little bit. Okay, there's just a massive amount of fire coming to Tel Aviv right now. Yaniv, get ready to pull it off the sticks. Get off the sticks. All right, let's go. Time to go. Okay. Guys, come on, everyone move. Everyone move now. Stay with us, stay with us. Pick up the gear, let's go.
And again, that was the Fox News reporter just last night. And despite what America is telling you tonight, folks, we're helping Israel. We may not be doing it publicly, but we're helping Israel. And a couple of other stories I want to just show you here tonight. This is one of the left mobs breaking the U.S. Capitol. This was actually tonight around 9 o'clock. And there's some video here of this. This is a group of anti-ICE riders breached the barricades at the Capitol. Dozens of them ran through, storming Capitol Police, locked them up, says Nick Sorter, a great guy. I'll agree. Here they are. This is what we call anarchy and chaos and lawlessness.
We got people breaking through the barriers of the Capitol building. People that are breaking through the barriers of the Capitol building, rushing to the Capitol steps. We got people rushing to the Capitol steps right now. Let's go! Capitol Police are responding to the break. Capitol Police are responding to those who broke through the Capitol barriers.
They don't just need to respond. Every single one of those you-know-what should be put in jail. This was where they had just been loaded on a bus, and they were hauled off to a D.C. jail. That's what happens to you when you break the law. This is what happens to you when you break the law. You don't pass go, and you don't collect $200. You go directly to jail. And kudos to the D.C. police. This is a veterans have stormed through the Capitol barriers and are hosting a sit-in on the Capitol steps. Not even the military supports Trump. This is some of the social media posts. And I don't even give the guy any time. He needs a dentist anyway. But I'll leave that at that. But that's tonight at our Capitol and so forth. There's other stories I want to talk about before we get to your questions tonight. I got so much I could talk about. This is the lovely Melanie Stansberry, and I say that in quotes. There's nothing lovely about her. This is why we have directions on Pop-Tarts. And this is why we say, Mama, don't let your babies grow up to be Democrats. This is her talking about the No King protest tomorrow.
Trump country
after the,
is booming.
hang on just a
We're
second.
building,
we'll
hiring,
get
and winning
the ad off.
Because energy tax
But
credits
this is her and her unhinged
it's
rant
the job of
after
the
the
Supreme Court
other.
to interpret
Sorry
and
about these
apply the
ads.
Constitution
That's
to
why we
cases
don't
before it.
sponsor. We take donations,
not
so
the
we don't
job.
have to do this.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Stansberry from New Mexico.
Listen to this bullshit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, some interesting theatrics today. Welcome, everyone, to the Oversight reality TV show. I know Mr. Trump loves himself some good TV, and today is not disappointing. And in fact, I want to say welcome to some of the members who've showed up to this committee who I've never seen here before. It's great to have you here in the hearing room with us. Now, before I get started on the topic at hand, I want to take a moment to speak directly to the immigrant community who might be watching and listening.
That's illegals, ladies, not immigrant community. Get your facts straight. Get your facts straight. Stop being a fool and ignorant. Pick a struggle. Don't be ignorant and foolish too. Pick a struggle.
Today, I want to say to everyone out there who is living in fear.
You're talking about the people that the immigrants are killing. Let me come back over here and come on my, this is a Friday night. Let me say something about that. You know who's living in fear tonight, folks? It ain't these immigrants. Number one, they're not immigrants. Number one, they're not immigrants. Number one, they're not immigrants. They're illegals. They're illegals. Did you realize in LA, just in the last 6 nights, that they've arrested over 450 people, and in that 450, that little small sampling of illegals, you've had rapists, murderers, fentanyl pushers, traffickers. You've had people that have been charged with assault. You've had people that's charged with theft. You've had people that there is no telling what kind. Some of them, they don't even know what country they're from. But she says that the poor immigrants are living in fear.
We see you. We love you, we respect you, and we are fighting for you and every community that is being targeted by this administration and this Congress.
And
we also want
you to remember that on Election Day, if I'm the Republican Party tonight, which, again, it's why we need directions on Pop-Tarts for them too, because they don't seem to get the message that this bunch wants to take power from them. This is the mentality. These are the people that don't respect our flag. She's speaking, folks, to the very people that are not here legally. She's speaking to the gangbangers. She's speaking to the murderers, the rapists, the fentanyl pushers, the drug pushers, the cartels, all these people that have kidnapped, raped, murdered kids, trafficked kids, pedophiles in this group. That's who she's telling them that we love you, we support you, and we're going to protect you from big old bad evil Donald Trump.
Of you out there to know that you have rights. You are protected by the law. And you should not have to...
Second lie. They're not protected by the law. They have no rights. They are illegals. I've already told you tonight, folks, this flag, this red, white, and blue flag that people paid for by blood does not protect people that don't belong here. She's wrong, but that's the Dem Party.
Live in fear and wonder whether or not you're going to be safe if you leave your home. Or
you won't be. I hope they are fearful tonight. I should applaud her for telling them. I hope you are fearful if you're an illegal here tonight. You need to be. You need to be. You need to be.
If your family is going to come home at night.
Let me tell you what's so sick about this. Let me tell you what's so sick about this. What about all these college students, these girls that have been killed over the last year, that they left their home and didn't come back home at night? How many police officers that have been killed? How many mothers and daddies have got news that their daughter went to college, got raped and murdered and strangled? How many husbands heard their wives got raped, murdered, and strangled leaving home and didn't come back home? How many mamas and daddies get news their kids gone missing, come to find out they've been kidnapped and murdered and raped by an illegal, and they didn't come home? And then this, you know what, and I almost said a very bad word, but this individual that's not worthy of the title of even a representative, this lady should be censored and impeached and special elections. Get her out. There's so much lying in this. Let me tell you this, neighbor. Let me tell you this, neighbor. These illegals need to be living in fear. I hope they are living in fear. They're not entitled to anything. They have caused the fear. They have caused families to suffer. They have caused death to come to this country.
We see you. We are fighting for you.
Let that word sink in, folks. This is who the Dems are fighting for. This is who They're fighting for. And let me tell you what's so ugly about this. They should be fighting for their citizens, and they should be fighting for you, the people, tonight. They should be fighting for we the people, but they're fighting for people that are not of we the people.
You have rights.
They do not have rights.
Now, let's turn to the situation in California, which, of course, much of this hearing has focused on. As someone from a Marine veteran family,
I wouldn't be saying that, lady. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace.
Let me be clear. Marines are combat troops. They are highly trained, highly disciplined, lethal fighting force combat troops.
Wow.
And they should never, never be deployed against the American people who are exercising their constitutional.
And they're not American people exercising their constitutional rights, folks. You've got Hamas infiltrators. You have got illegals. You have got people that are running from ICE. I can't even listen to the rest of this crap. But you got to realize this is what's going on in Congress tonight. I'm going to lose my religion. But you can... She's going to go on and compare Trump to the Mad King. That's what this movement's about tomorrow. That's what this movement is about tomorrow. It's what this movement's about tomorrow. Here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. I like MTG. She sort of gave it on the other end to Kathy Hochul tonight. Let this sink in. Maybe she needs to talk to Miss Stanberry about Lake and Raleigh, who left her home one morning at college in Georgia and didn't come back home thanks to these people that Mary or Miss Stansberry is fighting for. Roll the tape.
Don't trust the Patriot Act because they told me they were giving away the brand new Trump Mystery Box 2.0.
Donald Trump Jr. here. I need to tell you about my friends over at Tax Network USA.
I'll yield to my friend from Georgia, Miss Greene.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, are you a Democrat? Yes or no?
I'm a proud registered Democrat, yes.
Did you support Joe Biden for president? Yes or no?
I did.
Did you support the Biden administration's policies for the past 4 years?
I raised my concerns in many
That's a yes or no question
about how the border was being enforced, and so I raised concerns.
So you just stated, and I'll reclaim.
Hang on, folks. Sorry about the interference. This Gateway Pundit feed is never the best. Let me see if I've got a better one. I may have the feed already on a download that probably be much better than that one. And I do. Here is MTM. We'll just play this one instead.
Did you support the Biden administration's policies for the past 4 years?
I raised my concerns in many
That's a yes or no question
about how the border was being enforced, and so I raised concerns.
So you just stated, I'll reclaim my time, you said you're a proud Democrat. You supported Joe Biden for president. Clearly you supported the Biden administration's policies. Did you swear, Governor Hochul, did you swear an oath to faithfully uphold New York's Constitution and laws?
I certainly did.
In 2017, New York became a sanctuary state when Governor Cuomo signed Executive Order 170. This states, it directs that no state officers or employees, including law enforcement officers, shall disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement unless required by the law. Do you support this law as governor of New York?
Yes, this pertains to civil enforcement.
So you do enforce sanctuary policies of New York?
I supporting helping law enforcement and ICE when it comes to...
Thank you. I reclaim my time. You support sanctuary policies that have led to the horrific murder of people, Americans. This Fox News got it wrong. It should say monster. Arrested in broad daylight rape of a 13-year-old in a New York park. This girl was at knife point in the park near New York Mets Stadium. That's your state, Governor.
That's your state, Governor.
Hochul. New York Post also got it wrong and called him a migrant. That's a monster.
It's a monster. He's illegal.
Busted in brutal beating of New York PD cops in Times Square are members of bloodthirsty Tren de Aragua gangs. That's your state where you support your sanctuary state laws Also, Governor Hochul, do you recognize this image?
Yes.
Where a homeless woman was burned alive by an illegal alien monster? Where you uphold the laws to protect these monsters in your state, and then you force the New York citizens that pay taxes to pay for these people. This is the result of your sick and disgusting treasonous laws that you uphold as governor.
New York is not a
I
sanctuary
didn't
state
recognize
for
you, Ms.
criminals.
Hochul. This is my time. Do you know the name Laken Riley? Do you know the name Laken Riley?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do. Jose Ibarra murdered 22-year-old Laken Riley. He's an illegal alien monster from Venezuela, convicted of 10 charges. He was first arrested by the Biden administration that you stated that you support. Joe Biden for president, right? Proud Democrat, Governor Hochul. First arrested at the border and released by the Democrats that you support. Then, guess what? He made it to New York because the Biden administration flew illegals all over the country, and your state was one that accepted them. He lived at the Crown Plaza Hotel in Queens, an upscale hotel that was turned into an illegal alien shelter at the taxpayers' expense. $2 million a month went to this hotel. The second time he was arrested was in the state of New York for endangering a child. But he was released quickly before ICE could even issue a detainer, because you support those laws, Governor Hochul. Then he flew, get this is shocking. He flew from the state of New York to my home state in Georgia, and you all paid for it.
They sure did. Give it to her, MTG. Give it to her.
Why? Because it was reticketing, and that was the little gift that you were giving my state by sending monsters there. Cost the state of New York $5 to $10 million a day to feed and house illegals. Are you smiling at me about this?
I'm not.
You look like you got quite a smile on your face.
No.
Because I can tell you,
Gentlelady will not.
this is my time, reclaiming my time.
I'm thinking about
Don't you dare smile about the murder of
I'm
Laken
thinking about
Riley.
her parents.
The third time.
No, Kathy Hochul, you don't think about the parents. You don't care about the parents, and you are smiling. It's a smugness, this smugness in this left, this smugness of these governors, folks. They need to be in jail. They need to be in jail.
My heart is breaking for her
My
parents.
time, Governor Hochul. The third time he was arrested was in the sanctuary city of Athens, another Democrat policy. And then he went on and attempted to rape Laken Riley and murdered her. He murdered her. Let me explain something to you. This little girl right here, she would be alive today if you weren't such a treasonous governor supporting sanctuary laws in the state of New York. This little girl would be alive today, and her mother very much would like for her to be alive. This is outrageous for anybody in this country to support for non-citizens to be able to come in our country, be able to travel wherever they want, and then make taxpayers pay to house them, feed them, and then give them a plane ticket after they had been arrested in their state. That's what you did. You are responsible for the murder of this little girl, Laken Riley. And the Department of Justice should prosecute you for her murder.
Objection.
I don't care how much you object, and if you support it too, you're responsible for her murder. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
On a point of order.
Gentlelady's time has expired. State your point.
Our witnesses should be treated with respect, and I ask you to enforce decorum and remind committee members to treat our witnesses with respect.
Let me tell you something, jackanapes. Your witness didn't treat Laken Riley's parents with respect. It's just amazing to me. It just is absolutely sickening that these Dems are always about respect. Same thing would happen to Padilla yesterday. I've already played this one time. I think we've got it here. This is, we had it. It's a different computer. You saw the video last night with Padilla being arrested. It's unreal. I do want to play. Let me tell you something. You don't need to forget this, who the Dems are fighting for. You don't need to forget this. I'm going to get to Israel in a minute. I know we're running out of time. It's already 12:17, so we've already went past the midnight special. But don't forget this. The blood of Lake and Riley is on Kathy Hochul's hands. And thank God, I'm not saying I agree with every single thing Marjorie Taylor Greene says or does, because I don't. But in this case, one Georgian to another, far out. Let it all hang out. And I love what she told the Dems screaming about decorum. They sure as hell didn't care about decorum in L.A., did they? I see Alice Garcia out there. Alice, I've been meaning to reach out to you. We will probably get you on the show next week because Alice is out there in the middle of L.A. They haven't give you know what 2-bit pins about the decorum. Alex Padilla didn't care about decorum yesterday, storming the stage with Kristi Noem. Gavin Newsom don't care about decorum. Tim Walz calling ICE Hitler and calling Trump Hitler and people calling Trump every name in the book and calling conservatives every name in the book. They sure as hell don't care about decorum doing that. They don't care about decorum until when it comes to protecting killers. And I say it again tonight, folks, on Flag Day, that we're officially now in on this Friday night into Saturday morning. Let me tell you something. The founders of this country didn't shed their blood and put a flag for us to honor killing and baby killing and killers that don't even belong to this country. They didn't die for that. They didn't die for that. Don't forget this. Many will, but you don't need to.
Our members are treating the witnesses with respect. This is not a courtroom. We engage with the witnesses, and I think everybody's acted within the realm.
I think it should be a courtroom. That lady needs to be in jail. Tim Walz needs to be in jail. And so forth. All righty. Now, a few minutes and we're going to take your questions. Israel tonight. Israel. By the way, I want to show you one story out of Breitbart that sort of proves my point of what I was trying to tell you a while ago. You know, we're being told that these riots are about ICE, and they're not, folks. Kiefas, which is the Muslim garb, Intifada cries, which is Israel, they wanting basically the destruction of Israel, and firebombs, Palestinian symbols, violent chants mark anti-ICE riots nationwide. Demonstrators in LA and other major cities have waved Palestinian flags and chanted for Intifada as protest over ICE raids that have been infiltrating this unrest. And here is some more of this from, this is actually to June the 8th, a huge Palestinian flag in the middle of it. Roll the tape. That's a Palestinian flag right there. That's a Palestinian flag. This is Hamas military headbands. It don't sound like they're caring about being fearful, Miss Stansberry. That don't sound like families that are fearful for their lives. It don't sound like people that are fearful for being yanked off the street. That don't sound like First Amendment rights. That's basically calling for the destruction of Israel and the destruction of America from Mexico to Palestine. That's the new chant, folks, from Palestine to Mexico now. And this is Corey Williams. He said, I never imagined L.A. would look like this. Open support for Hamas on U.S. soil. It does. There it is. That's these mainly peaceful protests. That's these peaceful protests that they're talking about. Every nation has not just a right to act in self-defense, but a duty to do so. When a nation neglects that duty, it risks becoming a haven for vile criminal elements from across the globe and a battleground in other nations' conflicts. That is Marco Rubio. And there's another pro-Hamas.
Wherever you're at, we all have a common enemy. It is the same one. Everywhere you go, when you go down the street, there's the enemy. There's the enemy that works for the other enemy, who they all work on.
We played this one. He's telling you the cops are the enemy.
So we all share the same common enemy. Everybody has the same enemy. From LA to Africa to Palestine to Vietnam. We all have the same enemy. There's one enemy. And it is not me. And it is not you. And it is not them. We are not the enemies of each other. They are the enemy. There is only one enemy. And we all have to work together in unison to fight this one enemy.
More Hamas flags and armbands. Bottom line, folks, is this tonight. This is what I'm trying to get across to you. Listen, this thing in the Middle East tonight, this thing in the Middle East, and this thing tomorrow in all of these cities in this country, I do not doubt that within these protests, there are going to be people just like that. And I'm not so sure there's going to not be actual Hamas agitators and Hamas terrorists themselves. That's my concern. That's really what I've been trying to say. I've been going about it a long way in a sort of a weird way tonight. But the danger tomorrow is that you're not going to have just a bunch of punk kids that got nothing but time on their hands to act the fool. You're going to have people that want to destroy this country. And I'm going to tell you something. This Iranian thing has lit the fire. Now, we got a lot to say about Iran and Israel tonight. We've not gotten to. I know a lot of people tuned in to get an update, so I'm going to make this quick. As far as we know right now, there have been attacks basically on Jerusalem and Tel Aviv tonight, and you can see some of the headlines out of the World Israel News. Of course, Iran says Israeli strikes are a declaration of war. It blames the U.S. That shouldn't surprise you. There have been several drones that have been blown and detonated, and we encourage you to visit our Telegram room for all of these headlines. I do want to say something real quick before I leave tonight. We take your questions for a few minutes. Listen, the way Israel attacked Iran, they took a page out of the Ukrainian book with Russia. While I salute that ingenuity, it also concerns me for the safety of this country, because that's a new playbook for attacking nations, that they smuggle the stuff in and then they use the stuff smuggled in without ever having to use a soldier to invade. They use their proxies that are already here to create mayhem, chaos, and destruction. That's my concern tomorrow for you. Or today, later today. It's already midnight. Now listen, it's 12:25. It is late. I'm going to stop now. I could keep going. I've said my piece tonight. I won't say a lot more, but I've said my piece. I've said my piece. If you got anything to say, Alice, good to see you tonight. I'm going to be reaching out to you, friend. Hope you're doing well. Alice lives out there in L.A. And we got Eric Heron coming on Monday night. And we will be looking forward to talking to some folks about all this tonight. Let me see if we can get our Facebook page up here so we can talk to our Facebook audience. If you got a question tonight, any comments, you got 5 minutes, folks. Sorry, we're so late. So late. We're a little late tonight, but it's been worth it. Anyway, let's see here. The Christy Walton, Susan, is the name of the heiress at Walmart. Christy Walden. Alice says I'm 100% correct. She's talking to illegals, and she's sputtering nonsense. Miss Stansberry is sputtering nonsense. She is. Elaine, I tend to believe with you that not one of these people are going to see a single day in prison, but they need to. Lincoln Riley, Pat, that's their name. Elaine, your question about how many of the crowd will be arrested and kept like the J6 people, not many of them. Not many of them. Not many of them. Not many of them at all. It's sad. Good to see Dania in the house tonight. Good to see you, friend. Good to see you, my buddy. She's out in California. I need to get her on, too. Stephen, do you think Iran will ignore Trump and attack U.S. military bases? Is the Pope Catholic? Is the Pope Catholic? Is the sky blue? Water wet? Is Chris McDonald gray-headed and, is Chris wild and crazy? Is Chris talk with a southern drawl? Is Chris a redneck? Yep. I sure do. Yeah, I do. I think Iran's gone to the point, they've just gone beyond a point that I don't think they feel like they got anything to lose now. And I will tell you this tonight, folks, the troubling thing about the Israeli-Iran conflict is this. Nations are taking sides. Just within the last few hours, Russia has come out and said that the attack by Russia on Iran was unprovoked. They've condemned Russia. Saudi Arabia and Jordan have actually come on the side of Israel. And Saudi Arabia told Netanyahu tonight that if he needs their airspace and he needs any help with airspace to get to Iran, that the Saudis are giving him the green light. That's huge. I don't think that would have happened 20 years ago. I don't think it would have happened 10 years ago. I don't think it would have happened 8 years ago had we not had President Trump in office. But Saudis are understanding that their enemy of Iran is their enemy. And I don't trust the Saudis, but I'm grateful that they're seeing the light on this at least. So we'll just leave it at that. But nations are beginning to take sides, and that's never a good thing in these conflicts because these things can erupt. I know I've been asked today, do you think this is World War III? It's hard to say right now what's going to happen with this. I think Trump's trying to prevent World War III. That's why he's still telling the Iranians, he's still offering them an olive branch. He's still telling them, if you'll just come to the table and talk, we'll call off the dogs. But he said, if you don't, he said, we're going to destroy you. And, they asked him today, some smart aleck reporter asked him about the negotiators with the peace deal. He said, we can't negotiate with them because they're all dead now. Only Trump could get away with saying something like that. And she said, what do you mean? She said, well, I can tell you they didn't die of COVID-19. And I think that was Dana Bash from CNN trying to be the smart aleck that she is. But Trump told her, said, no, I guarantee you they didn't die of COVID-19, Dana. You realize Israel took out 3 top Iranian generals last night. One of them was named Soleimani, the same name as the other one that Trump dropped a bomb on when he was in office the first time. So, you got to love our president. You got to love our president. All righty. All right. I think we're out of time. Jeannie Castellanova, good to see you. Now, look, folks, listen, in the morning, 10 o'clock, we're not going to be on here long. I'm telling you, it's going to be a show tomorrow on the Face Network. We'll air it on Facebook. If you'd like to pray, McFiles4@gmail.com. 10 o'clock, we're going to call you, and I don't need 20-minute prayers. I need boom, 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 boom. We're going to pray for our country tomorrow, pray over protection of it, and then we're going to be done. Chris is going to keep his mouth shut. I'm going to let you do the praying, and I'll pray and wrap us up, but we're going to have a little time of prayer in the morning for our country that is so needed. Folks, be vigilant and sober later today, and we will keep you updated on this Israel situation. If we need to come on, if something seriously breaks, we'll come on, but we won't see you again until Sunday night. We'll see you after tomorrow. Now, we will not be here Sunday morning. I'm going to be in fellowship with my dear son for Father's Day. It's time to see my grandyoungins, and we felt led to go have church with them, and we're going to do that Sunday morning. But we'll see you Sunday night. We'll have a little devotion for Father's Day and some things we got to say about that. And I want to just wish all of our fathers a very happy Father's Day this weekend. And I want to wish President Trump a happy birthday and congratulations to the U.S. Army, 250 years old tomorrow. And I think that's a great accomplishment. God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless this great nation of America. We love you guys tonight. Didn't mean to get all wired up. Didn't mean to go this long, but it never fails. My wife laughs at me. She says, don't ever tell them you're going to be on for a few minutes. She said, you're never on for a few minutes. And she does that in love, and we laugh about it. And she's right, because Chris McDonald runs his mouth too much. Chris McDonald gets fired up, and I'm fired up tonight. God help us all. See you back here later this morning around 10. Be safe out there, okay? Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for each other. See you back here tomorrow.